Welcome to this podcast, My Positive Birth, a little corner of the internet where I will be collecting positive stories from women birthing their babies across the UK. My name is Lisa. I'm a doula in southwest London. I have 3 children and 2 positive birth stories. I truly believe that we can all learn so much by listening to the positive stories of women and families who have gone before us. What their birth experience was like, what they did, how they felt, how they feel now, a few months or even years later. So come and surround yourself with positive birth stories, told in women's own words. And I hope you'll find a village here to calm you, but also to inspire you and give you confidence in birth. All women and babies deserve a positive birth experience. So let's get cracking on today's episode. Hi everyone, welcome back to the podcast this week, and I'm really thrilled to be joined by Nilsha, and I'm particularly thrilled because we spent ages organising this meeting, haven't we, Nilsha?
Yes, we have. Yeah, we finally got there though.
We finally got there, so I can't wait to hear about your positive birth today. But first, perhaps, would you just start telling us a little bit about yourself and your family?
Okay, so I'm Nilsha. I'm only 43 years old. I have 2 boys. One is nearly 7 and one is nearly 2. Both winter babies. So yeah, both boys. Might as well have had 4 kids with the way those guys are. So yeah. And that's, we've got a little cat as well. So yeah, I'm kind of outnumbered, really.
I know. I think I told you, but I'm adding a puppy to my family today, which I'm terrified about. And if you follow my Instagram, I'm sure you will have seen evidence of him already. But yeah, kids is not enough, is it? Why not add in some pets as well?
That's it, yeah.
Lovely. So you've obviously got 2 children, and would you say that both their births were positive experiences?
Yes, so very different but positive. So with the first one, he was fairly easy. It was really easy pregnancy. I didn't have any morning sickness, and we didn't find out what he was going to be at the scan or anything. We decided to keep it a secret. And the second one, again, easy in the sense of no morning sickness. I know anyone out listening will probably hate me for that, especially those that go through severe morning sickness. But with the second one, for some reason, I got a gestational diabetes, which was really random, which meant obviously that I had to control the sugar levels, which meant daily pricks, and then obviously not eating chocolate, which is what you want to eat during pregnancy. So I had to curb a lot of that, which was rather strange. But apart from that, it was fine. It was easy in that respect. But yeah, those 2 were probably the main differences of those pregnancies.
Mm-hmm. And what were you kind of thinking about birth during perhaps your first pregnancy in particular?
So I really wanted the birthing pool. That was kind of my aim. So I was at St George's, at the hospital, and they've got like a birthing suite, etc. So I was all for that. But I knew in my head I didn't want to be fixated with what was going to happen. I think you've got to have an element of flexibility and just think, you know what, yeah, you've got an idea, but you just got to go with the flow at that particular time, whatever that situation might be, because it may not be what you expect it to be. So with him, it was quite funny. With my eldest, my first birth boy, number 1, we'll call him, he was fine. I spent a lot of time at home with the contractions, etc. At one point, I had to go to the hospital because I wasn't sure whether I could feel him. So they always say, come in. So we went in. I thought he was all right, but I wasn't too sure. So we went in, and I said, yeah, he's fine, whatever. So I also made the mistake. So this was just about midnight, so it was quite late at night. I made the mistake of asking, how far gone am I? So they had a little check, and according to one of the nurses, she said I was 5 centimeters, so therefore I could stay in the hospital. And so I was given a little room, and my husband said, I'll just go and get the bags from the car. And she wouldn't let him go and get the bags, because she said, no, it's all going to happen very soon and stuff. And at this point, I had a TENS machine, so that was one of the things that I had during that time for the birth, was a TENS machine, which was an absolute godsend. And I had my headphones plugged in, so it was kind of quite wide up, so to be, wires going out. And I was just dancing around with my music. So I created a playlist, different types of music, and I was just dancing around. And I was like, "There's no way she could be giving birth now. She looks as if she's in clubbing. It's just not normal. It can't be like this. And I wasn't. But they kept me in for 6 odd hours, and I wasn't progressing. And when they checked me again, I was only 3. So obviously, I was tired more than anything else because I hadn't really slept. And it was only till the following day, which was a Friday, that it really kicked in. So then I just thought, right, had the big grey, the gym balls you get. I can't remember what they're called. The big grey bouncy balls that you use for yoga and stuff. So that was like another best friend. And I hung it out for quite a while. And I knew it was kind of like, yeah, time to go now. I think I stuck it out, stayed in the living room, my little corner, had my little hubby corner kind of area. And then we just went in to the hospital in the middle of the night. And they said, yeah, you're definitely ready now. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? And they said, yeah, we're sure. And by this point, when she checked, I was 8 centimetres gone. So I was in the birthing area. I wasn't going to let my TENS machine go. I got so used to it, and it was like, no. But then I fast forward a few hours and everything. So at this point, my waters hadn't actually broken. So I think she had to break them, which she shouldn't have done, but they did. But anyway, but by the time it came to pushing, I was absolutely shattered when it got to that because I'd been awake, I hadn't really slept, so the tiredness was kicking in. So when the second stage of the whole birthing area came in, I just didn't have the energy to push, to be honest, and it was just kind of like, I'm too tired, and that was, that's all it was. I mean, there was no other complications or anything. I was just exhausted from the night of the lack of sleep, and so then they decided I got checked out, and I'd said obviously if I wanted to go in the birthing pool, I could, but I couldn't have my TENS machine for obvious reasons. And I just decided, you know what, I want my TENS machine more. So I said, don't worry about the water. It's fine. Even though from the whole pregnancy I was like, no, I want a water birth. I just said, no, I'm good. I'm good as I am. So I got checked out, and they weren't going to give me the epidural. It was called a spinal injection, I think it is called, which only lasts for about 20 minutes. And it's just like a one shot kind of thing. It's very quick and then it wears off, within 20 minutes. So I think they realised that it was just a short burst I needed. So I got moved down, and they gave me the spinal drip. But obviously I was having huge contractions then, so I had to be careful that I had to stay still during this, and I had to do it really quickly. And once it kicked in, I felt great. I was like, couldn't feel anything. I was like, oh, this is great. And I thought, do I just need to lie here then, And they said, no, you still need to do some work. I'm like, oh, okay, you weren't in the most comfortable positions at all. But you just go with it, etc. But at this point, the midwife who was with me, she'd actually finished her shift, but she stuck it out because she knew there wasn't that long left. And then, I think it was just a couple of contractions. I was just told when to push, and he was out eventually, And but I could feel it was great for that moment because even though I wasn't in any pain, I could feel him moving, and having that feeling. It was just amazing, to actually feel your baby and you're thinking, yeah, this is happening. This is like, wow. I think that is something people don't actually tell you that if you can feel it, then it's actually extraordinary. Going through that emotion and everything. So and then he was out, so he was all good. So that was kind of normal. Was it about 12 hours or something like that? From being in hospital, that's kind of normal standard one for him.
Lovely. Can I ray back and ask lots of my little questions of just thinking as you go along? So how kind of many weeks were you when your labour started with your first son?
He was 40 weeks, so he was just over the 40 weeks, kind of 40 plus 5, I think. He was due on the Monday. His due date was Monday, but he actually arrived on the Friday.
Yeah. And how did you know, like, what were your kind of first signs that labour was starting, and how did you feel when you thought, oh yeah, this, probably is happening?
I think you just feel that the contractions kind of building a little bit, and I felt okay because I'd been doing pregnancy yoga. I'd actually joined pregnancy yoga locally here. So I just concentrated doing the moves, the hip movements and things like that. And I was happy doing those kind of moves as and when I needed to. It was fine. I think mentally you just sort of get into that zone. I think it's really important to get into that zone of not panicking and just align your head with your baby kind of thing. Just say, okay, it's happening, it's fine. Let's just listen. You just listen to your body. And yeah, I think it was just that, and you just take it each one as it is, you know.
And did you have how was your husband your birth
Yeah,
partner?
yeah.
And was he at that kind of stage, so that sort of earlier stage, was he kind of tuned in, or were you kind of getting on with your own thing, or how did it kind of work between you?
Early on, I just said, if I need you, I'll shout, kind of thing. You know, I just had my tuned in. If I needed anything, he was there. You know, food wise, etc. If I need, you know, bouncing about, or if I needed anything, it was fine. Otherwise, but normally I just kind of left him to it. And then at the hospital, um, he was just there to do what I needed, really. But I was in my own space, kind of thing. So if I needed him to hold my hand or anything, then that'd be it. Otherwise, it's just me, my ball, my kind of zone.
And when did you? So I was just thinking about the sort of comfort measures you could say that you've described. So you had your kind of movement and your birth ball and your breathing. Did you put the tens on quite early on?
Yeah, I think you need that just so you get used to it, you know, and then you just turn it as and when, you know. But it was a nice feeling. It wasn't, you know, a horrible. It was more of a soothing kind of, you know, feeling kind of thing. So you know, you just, I think you just calmer with it, really. So yeah, it was good.
And sorry, did you say you had music as well?
I had music as well. Yeah,
Did you have it the whole time?
pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. So I had different types of music. Kind of, I didn't really have too much of the. I had some of the relaxing stuff, but then I had sort of dance music as well. You know, something with a bit of a beat kind of thing. So you know, if you're doing your movements kind of thing, you can go with your movements. You know, so you know you're counting kind of thing. So you're not so every contraction kind of thing. You're not counting. Oh my god, how long is it going to take? How long is it going to be? How long have I got left? You're just fixated on your music or something. You know, so it takes that edge off. And just a couple of favourite tracks, really, more than anything else, or just old, you know, old kind of music you can just sing along to. You know, your favourite music.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's really helpful. And then how long would you say you'd been labouring at home before? So you're saying you went to the hospital, actually stayed quite a while, then came back and then went in again. So I suppose that very first sort of segment.
For about 24 hours, I reckon.
So 24 hours at home, just sort of doing your thing with your ball and your music, husband helping where you needed. With your tennis machine must have had very good batteries because I'm thinking it was on for quite a long time.
They do, yeah. They do last quite a long time, actually. Even I was surprised by that one, but yeah.
And were you feeling calm or excited or?
Both. I think calm.
You sound calm.
Yeah, I think you have to be. I think you can be excited and everything, but it was predominantly calm and just practical in that sense. You know, I think you just get into. I think it's excited that oh yeah, it's happening kind of thing, but then you know it's difficult to then have any other. Well, I didn't want to think of anything else, you know, negative or anything. Oh, what if this happens? Or what if that happens? Or why have my water's broken? And I'm doing that. You know, you start creating scenarios because you're obviously told in your pregnancy this is what normally happens. This is the normal order of things happening. And if that doesn't happen, oh my gosh, why hasn't it happened? Is there something wrong? But you just have to not have that thing. And it's just, okay, if something's not happened, it's okay. There may be a reason for it, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. You know, it's just not happened.
Yeah, and I guess sort of trusting your instincts, which obviously at one point, so you're saying you had about 24 hours, and then at that point you just thought I would like to go for the reassurance that baby's fine.
You just think, I'm not sure, but it's better to be sure. And it's like, no, it wasn't fine. It's like, no, let's just pop over and get it checked out. I'm sure there's nothing, but let's just do that. But yeah.
And then, so it's quite interesting to me that you had quite a long stint in hospital, and then you went home because that probably is a bit more unusual. So, tell us a little bit more about what I think you mentioned. It was sort of 6 hours. So, how did that feel to you? Did that feel different to labouring at home? And what kind of what happened to make you decide to go back home again?
Well, they said we have to send you back because you're not as far gone as we thought you were. So it's a case of just go home, relax, and then roll with it, and then come back when you're further along. So I'd had the app, which I knew I didn't need till a lot later on. So when I got home, I just tried to sleep, but it's a bit harder when you get to that stage. You know, it's not really sleep.
Had you had any sleep since the sort of 24 hours prior?
No, because you just think, oh, that's it. You know, when you know if they keep it at the hospital, you're thinking, oh right, yeah, it's happening. But because I hadn't, you sort of adrenaline kicks in and everything, you know. So I hadn't slept the hospital, it was just eating and dancing around kind of thing. So
Had you slept at home? Because you're saying it was sort of 24 hours before you went into the hospital that first time. Had you had some sleep during that time at
more
home?
like little naps kind of thing,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
So it wasn't proper sleep as such, you know.
yeah. And how did it feel? Were you glad to go home or frustrated
Yeah,
or?
no, I was all right going home because I wasn't feeling as though I needed to be in hospital. You know, I was all right going home. I wasn't in any pain or anything as such, you know. So I knew probably home was probably the better place until I really felt I needed to be back at the hospital. So yeah, so no, I didn't feel as though I wasn't frustrated. I was probably more frustrated that I was led to believe that was X-File because I could have just come home and actually slept some of that 6 hours there. But you know, it is what it is. You know, if I hadn't gone in, you just don't know. It's just one of those things. You know, depending on who's on the shifts and etc. So, but yeah,
Yeah. And you managed to keep fairly calm about that by the sounds of it, because I guess it would be quite easy to be derailed. So obviously your labour did not go backwards like that. Your bodies just don't work like that. So as you say, that obviously their assessment, was probably not that kind of accurate. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because you knew that really inside. I can tell from what you're saying. Like when they're saying, "Oh no, like you haven't even got time to go to the car," you kind of inside your body, you knew that you really just wanted that reassurance that baby was fine. But yeah, how did you kind of stop yourself being derailed by that? Then I can imagine that for a lot of people, that could potentially kind of have been hard to stay calm and kind of just sort of embrace going home again.
I think you just, have to, you just trust what they're saying, you know, and you trust your own body. You know, if you feel that something's not right or no, you are actually in a lot more pain, then you could question it. You know, I didn't feel I was in the pain that I was expecting to be in. You know, when you hear about birthing stories, etc., I'm thinking, no, this doesn't sound as. I don't feel so. I mean, either something not right with me, my pain threshold, or I'm not there yet. You know, and I think I felt as though I wasn't there yet. Yeah, so I thought, no, I can manage this for quite a bit longer. So it's fine. You know, but obviously, yeah, if you're in a position where it's unbearable, then you would question it and say, I'm in pain, etc., etc. You know, but because I was in that manageable state, I was quite comfortable just going home. Like, no, that's fine.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Thank you. And so then you were back home and just back into a similar zone that you'd been in before.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
husband getting a bit of sleep at any
Oh
stage,
yeah,
or
he
is he?
slept. Oh yeah, he slept fine. You know, there was no lack of sleep on his partner, and a hip flask of JD and Coke. You know, he had. Yeah, he was all set to go, kind of thing. You know, I think it's me that needed the alcohol, but obviously not. You know, but yeah, no, he slept.
And then just to draw out of you a little bit more, how long were you? How long were you back at home for, and what were you feeling inside? What was that kind of shift that you thought?
It ramped up, I think, about 2 in the morning, which was when I first rang the hospital, and then by that point, I was using the several contraction apps that you can time everything. So I was using those, and they said, "Can you hang on for another hour at least?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think so." My husband was like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think I could push it another hour. Let's go with it." So I pushed it, and I thought, "No, now I do need to go," kind of thing. And then we just got in the car and went to the hospital, kind of, which wasn't bad timing because at least you get parking then. So because that's the one thing that we were worried about, or I wasn't, my husband was worried about. It's like, where are we going to park? Because obviously hospitals have lack of parking. So he timed it quite well in that sense because in the middle of the night, there's loads of spaces. It's like, yeah, it's fine. We don't need to worry about that.
And how can you remember kind of? So I'm just in awe, really, that because I think for a lot of women, when you kind of really sign up to the process from the very beginning, and then you've been having contractions for a long time by now, and you sound so sort of wonderfully kind of pragmatic about it. Do you remember how kind of frequent they were for this kind of 2 days sort of build up?
It's variable. And then it kind of ramped up every 10 minutes or something like that. He started ramping up then and thinking, oh, okay, yeah. I was just huddled, just like hugging that ball, that big ball of mine. I just found that more comfortable, not sitting on it, but just hugging it, like it was some sort of huge teddy bear.
Did you take that with you?
No, I didn't take it because they actually had one there, so I could just use that. So when I did get to the hospital, they said, "Okay, what would you like?" And I saw the ball in the corner. I said, "I just need that. That's it. I'm good." So I had the bed, and had the ball kind of thing, and that was it. That was my comfortable kind of position. And I didn't really need anything else. It was just that I was wide up. with my tens, one headphone in so I could hear other people talking and just did my music. And I just said to my husband, okay, press play or whatever on my phone. And that was it. So I kind of worked out what my comfort stages were, what I needed. And I think you just go with it then. I think you just listen to your body, I think, at that point. Just going to the hospital is just like, yeah. I think beforehand you just think, okay, how am I going to get to the hospital? You see, when you're watching things on TV and stuff, like you're thinking, am I going to be screaming down the corridors? Getting up to the labour ward. I'm going to make a complete fool out of myself with other patients walking past. You have all those thoughts. How am I going to, because you don't know how you're going to be. But luckily, in the middle of the night, because it was in the middle of the night, it was hot quiet, and it was in winter. I just had my old boots on, and we managed to get up and just walk. I was actually all right, and I was just like praying, thinking, hopefully I'll get there and not have a huge, massive contraction where I need to make a lot of noise back and just bear it, and stagger across to the thing. And it was all right.
So you eventually, after quite a long time of being awake, by the sounds of it, had the just the spinal block, just the kind of shorter lasting one. And had you experienced any kind of pushing sensations before that?
I knew I had to because I could feel it, but I just couldn't push. So I could feel that I needed to do it, but I just couldn't do it because I just didn't have the energy to do a lot of that. Obviously trying everything, but I just didn't have the energy to give it what I needed to do to get him out. And I think that was due to just the tiredness, I think.
And do you remember how you felt at that point? Did you feel any fear or worry, or you did just literally just feel exhausted?
I just felt exhausted because I just thought, well, because I'm quite petite, so I've always, even before I got pregnant, I just thought, how on earth? This is going to sound quite, not strange, I suppose, but because I'm quite tiny framed kind of thing, I just thought, if I have a baby, how on earth is this baby going to come out naturally? But then I just thought, I'm not going to worry about it. It's going to come out one of two ways. And it is what it is. I think you can't worry about that. And I just thought, no, because they kept checking him. And he was fine. His heartbeat was fine, everything. So I thought, well, there's no problem. I just can't push. So we'll work out the best way of getting him out and just be done with it, And that's all it was. I think if his heartbeat had gone up or whatever, then yeah, I think I would have probably panicked a little bit because you just naturally instinct would. But because he was fine, I was fine.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. And I loved your way of your kind of saying it was amazing, that feeling of birthing him. Yeah, I don't know if you've got any kind of more words for that.
I think when you go through antenatal classes and explain what's going to happen, what happens during the whole birth, when the baby comes out down your belt, the actual process, kind of these dummies and dolls and things like that, you've got that picture in your head, you've got those images and that vision in your head. So that when you can feel it happening, it's extraordinary. I mean, some people will probably find it freaky, and I get that. But for me, I just thought, wow, a human that I've cooked is coming out of the oven, and yeah, and you could feel the first bit. So it felt him first come out, and I thought, okay. And then they said, his head was, they could see it, and I thought, right. And for the next one, then I could feel his whole body kind of pushing and coming down and out. And I was just like, oh my God, and you're trying to put what you're feeling to what you've seen, in the antenatal cache. You're joining the two parts together and you're visualizing it and you're feeling it at the same time, which is kind of really strange. But it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing when you can feel that. You're thinking, no one else can feel that. In that room, it's just you are the only one that can feel that. And it's absolutely mind-blowing that what your body, I think that is when you appreciate what your body's just done. I think we underestimate what our bodies are doing. And because there's very little you normally feel, but that movement, yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. I also love when you're saying it's only you in the room. I also love the fact it's you and your baby, isn't it? So you're like a little team, and your moment together.
Yeah, it's like your moment. Yeah, it's like, yeah, come on, we can do this. We can do this. You're kind of like psychologically kind of talking to your baby and saying this is a team effort. Obviously, yeah, there's all the other people around you to make it a team, but ultimately, it's just you and your baby trying to get it, to work together to, for that positive. Where it's like, no, we can do this. Come on, we can do it. You're all right. You can do it. It's like these little pet talks, and doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's lovely. And how was kind of immediately after his birth? Was that all smooth? And what was your kind of first 24 hours day?
But they didn't tell us what we'd had at one point. I'm like, can someone tell me if it's a boy or a girl? And they said, oh yeah, it's a boy. I was like, okay, cool, that's fine. And he was fine. He was absolutely fine. It is exciting. I think your fear. Well, for me, the fear kind of kicked in at that point a little bit. Like, what just happened? But no, I think overall that pregnancy was long, but it was expected to be a bit longish. Your first ones are always long, which is a stark contrast to the last one I had.
Yeah, shall we move on? So you mentioned pregnant with your second son, and at what point did they diagnose you with the gestational diabetes?
I can't remember how many weeks it is, but it's after they do that glucose test.
Maybe kind of 24 weeks-ish, maybe perhaps. And what kind of conversations happened in relation to the birth? Was there any specific things that came up, but I guess particularly following the gestational diabetes? What was kind of the plan?
Well, the actual pregnancy was fine in itself, so there was no concerns on how to give birth. Although they just said, well, we're not going to let you go over your 40 weeks because of your GB and your age, because I'll hit over the 40 years kind of thing. So that's just the normal guidelines anyway. So it wasn't necessarily me or my health or the baby's health.
And how did you feel? How did you feel about that?
I was all right with that. It was kind of like, no, that's fine, And I think we just said, well, if you go over, then we'll have to call you in. I was like, yeah, okay. I didn't really panic because I just thought, well, there's no need to panic unless I needed to. We might not even get there and get to that point. I think it was just about controlling my gestational diabetes more than anything else. It was just, sort of the meetings of how you control it, etc. I think that's probably the only thing I found more difficult in this thing, because normally I'll just eat anything and everything, but this time I had to really think about what I was eating and more the portion size as well, But I found a few little hacks of trying to get chocolate in. I found a way of controlling the chocolate and mixing it, pairing it up with certain foods. So it's actually really interesting, to be fair, because it's not something you'd actually think about unless you're in that position. So it was probably more of an educational pregnancy journey, that one more than anything else. So it did shock me at first because I don't suffer from diabetes or anything, so it was really random. I just thought, well, as long as I control it, the hospital could see from the charts what the stats were, and it was fine. So it's kind of like, okay, all I had to do was just maintain it till the end. And they just said, well, once you've given birth, you can eat whatever you want. You can have as much chocolate as you want, as much sugar as you want. It doesn't matter. It was just, I just needed to hang on till that point, really.
And what was your plan to go back to the birth centre again when you?
Yeah, I was going to try and go into the water this time. I was going to try and put, it was going to be the same drill as the first one. Really. I was still going to have the TENS machine, but then see if I could push it out into the water, take the wires out, and try and go in the water this time. So yeah, it was going to be the same thing. Yeah.
I meant to pick up on that actually from your story before, and it's come up before on the podcast and with me also. But I love, like you said about flexibility earlier, and I love that we can have plans and ideas of comfort measures, and that's a brilliant thing to do. But I love that the body wins, and you were like, the TENS machine is not coming off, so water is not happening. But it's great to retain all your options, isn't it? So for this birth, as you say, you were kind of still wanting to keep all the options open with that. So tell us when did you how many weeks were you when you went into labour, and how did you know this time?
So I finished work at the end of 36 weeks. So it was a Friday, so I finished work on a Friday, done my bit, and then on the Monday I had to go in for a 37-week scan, which I think is normal now. I can't remember. I had to go in, and everything was fine. So they just double checked everything. It was fine. It's like, okay, we'll see you when we see you. Everything's fine. If nothing happens by 40 odd weeks or by then we'll have to get you in. It's like, okay, that's fine. Totally understandable. So I came home. So that was on Monday. I'd ordered some click and collect stuff for the baby. So my eldest was at home at that point as well, because he'd finished for Christmas. And so then it got to the Wednesday, and I woke up, but with this pregnancy I actually had Braxton Hicks. Didn't irritate me really, it was just there, and I just got on with it, They were a bit more regular on that Wednesday morning, but it wasn't painful, so I didn't really think anything of it. So I just carried on my breakfast and whatnot. And I said to my eldest, we'll go into shops get the click and collect, and we'll go for a bit of a coffee and cake, just before me and him time, beforehand. He's like, yeah, okay, cool, that's fine. But these Braxton Hicks were getting a bit more frequent, shall we say.
Yeah, so how did they feel? I actually never had them. I had 3 pregnancies and no Braxton Hicks. So you say they weren't painful, but you were aware of them?
Yeah, so it's painful in the sense that when it happens, your bump just goes really hard, like solid hard. And I think the pain is just because your skin's just stretched, and it's pulling. So you stick it, it's like lock hard kind of thing. But then it just goes back and you stick it, that's when it just gets uncomfortable. But it's not the same as normal contraction kind of thing. So I just thought, right, it's just back to next thing. It's like, yeah, it was really weird. But they were just getting more frequent. But I just didn't think, because I wasn't in the same pain, obviously, with a second or any subsequent pregnancies. You kind of think back to what your first one like, because you've got some sort of comparison. You're thinking, okay, when I'm here, I know where I am, kind of thing. You've got something going, haven't you, really? So I didn't think anything of it. I wasn't in any pain to think anything of it. I just thought, well, I'm due in 3 weeks ish, so kind of to be expected, possibly. Didn't really bother with it. And then my plug went about 10 o'clock. Again, didn't think anything of it because it doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't mean anything's going to start straight away. So, no, it's fine. And my husband and my eldest were just joking around, saying, oh, it's going to happen soon. I'm like, no, it's wild. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. And then, so I was just putting around, and I was going to get in the car, and my husband said, I'm not quite sure you should be going on your own. I'm like, no, I'll be fine. And he's like, no, I'll drive you. We'll go a bit later. I'm like, okay, that's fine. No rush. 11 o'clock in the morning, then my waters went. Luckily, I was in the toilet, sat on the toilet, and I was like, okay, because my first pregnancy, my waters never went, so I didn't know what that feeling was like. And then I went, oh, okay, now I get it, yeah. I was like, but I was still calm. I was like, okay, because it was happening really quick, so I didn't really have time to panic or anything like that. So I went down to, I just thought, well, I'll just sit on the toilet, it's fine, I'm not going anywhere, it's fine. And again, even at this point, I didn't feel any pain or such. So uncomfortable, but not pain, I just thought, I'll just sit here, nothing happening, and I thought, right, I'll waddle down, because I was at the top floor, ours is like a townhouse. So I thought, well, let me go down to the middle floor. So I went into the ensuite, spare bedroom ensuite in there. I thought, I'll just sit here. So my husband goes, are you all right, kind of thing? I said, yeah, I'm all right. I said, do you just want to bring the hospital book, kind of thing? I might just give him a call, because they'll probably want to call me in. So my orders have gone. And he goes, okay. And I said, it's fine, don't worry, it's chill. So I says, because he was still working and doing emails and things. So I says, don't worry, there's no rush. Just bring the book up, I'll give him a shout. So he goes, okay. So he took his time, obviously, because I did say, don't rush. And then while I was in the toilet, I was sat on the seat. Well, I had this, so I didn't have any TENS machine or anything, hadn't even arrived. I had this urge to push. And I just thought to myself, this is rather strange. And I probably panicked for about 10 seconds. Because I thought, why do I need to? I think because you know the difference then. I'm like, this can't be happening now, surely not. I thought, nah. So I kind of resisted the whole pushing things. I thought, nah, that can't be right, And then I got to the stage where I had to give in. I had to listen to that body. And I thought, explicit word, and I thought, I'm just going to have to push, So I kind of pushed, and I kind of half screamed, but not screamed, because I thought, well, I don't want to fully scream because my son was still in the house. But I was all right. I just grinned, but he still heard me. He was in one of these rooms, and he was like, "Mummy, are you all right?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry." So he went downstairs and told my husband, and in that time, I thought, I had to push, and I just thought, I'm not sure what's just happened here. So, going a bit graphic in a way, I put my hand down, and I could feel my son's head, and I thought, okay, this is happening, and this is happening now. But at this point, I didn't panic because I just thought, well, I can't panic. I'd just go into that zone. And I'm quite practical in that sense. It's like, okay, what do I need to do kind of thing. So by this point, my husband had come up with the book. Completely oblivious to what just happened. And I says, he goes, oh, there's a book. What number do I need to ring? And I said to him, forget the book. I says, the number you're going to need to ring is 999. And I'm saying it to him like how I'm saying this to you now. And I says, he goes, what do you mean 999? And I says, this baby's coming now. we're not even going to make the hospital. He goes, what do you mean we're not going to make the hospital? It's just 10 minutes up the road or 20 minutes up the road in the car. And I says, no, this baby is coming now. I said, his head is nearly out. And he goes, what do you mean his head? And I says, well, the head of the baby is half out. So I said, can you go upstairs, get a load of towels, because we always have like a stack of old rubbish towels. I said, just get a load of towels, just bring them down here. And then he realised by my face that I wasn't pulling his leg, because he actually thought, is she making this up? Is this some sort of wind up? Because those guys had basically joked about it earlier in the morning. Was it just me carrying on with that? And I'm like, so he went upstairs and he brought the towels down. And by that point, he was, he brought a load of towels down and he was on the phone to the ambulance, the 999 call centre thing. And they were sort of saying, what position is she in, etc. They were trying to do all that fact finding kind of stuff. And I think he couldn't work out what to tell them in that sense, like what position. And I just went on all fours because I thought, I'm not going on my back. And I said, just tell them I'm on all fours. That's it. They'll get what you're on about then. So he goes, okay, fine. And he sort of then says, oh yeah, Nilsha, you're going to need to push. And I'm like, and I started laughing. And I says, yeah, no, I need to push, but I need to wait for a contraction. I can't just push kind of thing. So at this point, I hadn't had the fear. I just thought, I've got no pain relief. I've just got to pray that it's quick kind of thing. And I've just got to go with it. Again, like the first, it's a team effort, as in just got to go with it, tune in and just focus and just concentrate on what I've got to do. And then the next contraction came and he was out. So my husband kind of obviously had to deliver the baby as well, kind of thing, and the ambulance crew, luckily, because it was during COVID, they came 2 minutes after he was born. So they were actually really quick. I think the adrenaline was just sky high, thinking, what the heck has just happened? I've just given birth at home. It's insane. I'm looking at this baby and thinking, has this actually happened? And the crew that came, they're all women. And I said, sorry, girls, you've just missed it. And I felt really bad for them because, it's something nice for them to see, especially with everything going on with COVID at the time. And, it would have been, I said, this little guy just wanted to get out quick and it's lunchtime. So, we had a crack and a joke about it, but it was just really surreal. And I just thought, everyone says, second babies, they can come earlier and they are, they come quicker. I'm thinking, well, this guy, I thought, this guy's just taking the biscuit here, I thought, it's 3 weeks early. He's just completely knocked out everything that I'd had planned. Christmas, he was out before Christmas, which wasn't a bad thing, to be fair, because I didn't really want a Christmas baby, to be fair. But yeah, it was, and I could obviously, with this one, I felt everything, the pain, everything, there was no injection. And it was just weird. I think it took me a while to comprehend what had just happened, and it was just, I don't know, just, you were kind of thinking, okay, practically, okay, what needs to happen? I was apologising because I hadn't sorted out on the bed. There was still like spare clothes I hadn't put away, and so the bed looked a bit for tip, and they needed some space and stuff. And I was apologising. They go, oh, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. I'm really sorry,
That's ultimate women, isn't it? Like, you just done this, like, ridiculously powerful, amazing.
You're just worried about the mess on the bed. It's like, yeah, and that's, and I had gas and air at this point, so. For the first one, I tried gas and air. I was just sick, so I really didn't take it. But then this time I thought, well, I was a bit reluctant, but I thought I'd try it because I was still having the contractions with the placenta, and it actually was fine. I was like, oh, I quite like this. It's like, yeah, give me some more of the gas and air. And I thought, I don't know what happened the first time, but I'm liking it now. And yeah, it was just weird. And I had to go to the hospital, go in the ambulance and holding this baby, and I'm just thinking, this just really just happened. I'm just going through my head trying to process what had happened within the space of an hour. I'd just given birth.
Yeah, and how do you feel about it now? Because I think it's come across really well as you've been talking. What a kind of surprise and the shock it was. So just wondering, a couple of years on, kind of how you reflect back on that birth.
I think the key is to stay calm. Not to have. I think you've just got to deal with what's happening in that present moment, not getting any negative thoughts. Oh, I haven't, because I think I could have easily gone into panic mode thinking, I have no pain relief. What am I going to do? How long is this going to last? What am I going to do? Because that is the easiest, well, just normal instinct kind of thing, but I think you really just have to focus on the positive, thinking, okay, what have I learned? What moves can I make? What mindset do I need to be in? And I think that really is the key on it, and then just go, okay, it's not what I expected it. It's not like I expected to go, whichever way it goes, I think, but okay, I'm home. I'm okay. What can I actually do practically? What you're in control of, not what anything else is. It's so difficult. It's easy to think about things that you're not in control over. And I think we just need to remember, what are you in control of, and just focus on that. I think more than anything else.
Yeah. And what just a couple little questions from what you said. I guess some people might listen and think, how would I know that I was pushing? And I don't know if it's easy to describe, but was it your body was basically?
Yeah, I think the difference when you're the first stage is just on and off pain, and then you just need to move around. If you've just got the way of describing it is probably like on and off pain, and you just need to move, to get rid of that pain. You just need to, it's that sort of that niggly pain kind of thing. You just need to move around. It's probably that kind of pain. But when you need to push, it's like as if something's like I think the only way of describing it, and this is going to sound maybe a bit odd, or maybe not odd, is you need to go for a big poo. I think that's the best way of describing it to anybody that hasn't experienced it, and that's the biggest difference from a niggly pain to feeling as if I really need to go for a big poo.
And actually, that's really helpful, isn't it? Because even if it doesn't feel exactly the same for every woman, we don't worry about how will we know that we need to poo. Like, we just know that our bodies will tell us. Yeah, brilliant. And then I was just wondering, was there quite a pause between? So you had that first kind of huge contraction where you were like, okay, and then you felt that the head was almost born, and then it sounds like there was a little pause really whilst you got the hospital book and the towels and the
between the first and the second contraction. I think that was about maybe 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, okay. And with no contractions in between, or?
No, so I'd only had the two. I just had the two. Yeah, so they weren't close together.
So that's really really interesting as well. And I guess again, I sort of in awe of our bodies and how, like, you kind of, you got everything you wanted in place, and then that next one, and he was born. Yeah, that's amazing. And I love, like, what is just massively coming across talking to you is that you do just emanate a sort of calm and a sort of inner trust. Like you said, no need to worry unless there's a reason to worry. And I think
I think that's really important.
Yeah, thank you. And you've told us lots of bits as we've gone along, but any last sort of words of wisdom, and for people who might be listening in who are pregnant now, any things that you're really glad that you did do and that you thought kind of contributed to the positive experiences?
Please just enjoy it. Enjoy it as much as you can, because all women go through different stages of it. It isn't easy. But yeah, I think you just have to enjoy it and just embrace it. I think and embrace each and every pregnancy that you have, whether it's your first, whether it's your third, or whatever it might be. I was unfortunate that I've actually carried 3 babies, or 2.5, I suppose, because in between the two, I actually had a second. I was pregnant the second time round, 2018. Yeah, 2018. But then during the 12-week scan, they found that the baby wasn't well, and basically he was diagnosed. I say it was he. I'm assuming it was a he, to be fair, because you don't really know at that stage. That he was diagnosed with triploid syndrome. So this is one of the ones that you don't really hear about. So you hear about all the Downs and all the other ones you hear. This was a really rare one. We had to take that decision. We were told he or she wasn't going to. He was very poorly, and even if the baby had survived the pregnancy and it was born, it wouldn't live for probably more than 24, 48 hours because of abnormalities. So we took the decision to terminate that pregnancy. I think it was the right thing to do. It's a horrible decision to make because you're actually terminating that pregnancy as opposed to other forms of baby loss, where your body rejects it, etc. Miscarriage. it doesn't make it easy. But yeah, having made the decision it was the right thing to do. I didn't want to put the baby in any more distress than it was. It was never going to get better. And there was no point making it suffer. In my head, it was kind of like, well, I can't change anything. And I didn't want to stress the baby out for no reason. No one was going to benefit from it. I wasn't, the baby wasn't. So at 14 weeks, I had that termination.
Yeah.
So obviously for my third pregnancy, the quick one, that was always at the back of my mind. But you just got to think, this is a different pregnancy. It's there, but it's not there. You can't really think about it too often. It's just one of those where it is what it is. But yeah, I think for any woman that goes through any pregnancy, just enjoy it. Enjoy what it is, and just embrace it, and just not be mindful of all the negatives, but go with the positives more than anything else, because it is a miracle. It's absolutely, your body does amazing things.
Yeah, thank you. It's very gracious of you to share. I mean, the thing that stands out with you really is just what massively different experiences you had kind of each time. And some women have, relatively fast first labours and they're kind of semi-prepared, I guess. But I don't think going from, a sort of 2-day plus labour to a 2-contraction labour is probably,
I know. 1 hour labour, it is quite extreme.
Yeah, but just brilliant. I think it's so helpful as well that they were both positive experiences, and that also just goes to show, doesn't it, that there's no kind of one textbook answer of what would make a positive birth. And you literally almost had polar opposites, and yet can look back on both of them positively. It's a very powerful message, I think, just a reassurance. Yeah, like you say, there doesn't need to be a perfect plan, but it's kind of trusting your body and being present for whatever your body and your baby decides is going to be the path. So it's fascinating. Thank you so much. Look forward to getting this episode out for everyone to learn from your experiences. So thank you, Nilsha.
No worries. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
This podcast does not present itself as medical advice, and neither should it be taken as such. The views represented here are personal to the women telling their stories. Sorry for this slightly patronising disclaimer, but such is the world we live in today. Always seek out the information you need before making your own decisions.